Tonight, 3 provinces on flood watch.
It's not anymore a question of if we're going to see flooding, but very much a question of how much flooding are we going to see.
Facing rising rivers and driving rain in Ontario, Quebec, and New Brunswick, will those efforts be enough?
You wouldn't do this climb.
I absolutely would not. I don't know many people who would.
The deadly allure of a dangerous peak, and how the climbing community is responding to the deaths of 3 elite mountaineers. And from Latin music to K-pop, how global acts are increasingly rocketing up the charts in North America. This is The National. Be prepared. That is the message in 3 provinces tonight. Several major rivers already at risk of bursting their banks, and what happens over the next 48 hours could push them over the edge. At this hour, Quebec and New Brunswick are requesting assistance from the Canadian forces. There are nearly 50 rainfall warnings in effect right now, stretching from the Maritimes to southeastern Ontario. Some areas could see between 60 and 80 millimeters. In New Brunswick, bad news for the St. John River. The water is frigid, the current is moving extremely quickly. People are being told to stay away from the water's edge, and those who live nearby have been warned.
We're asking New Brunswickers to ensure that they have everything they need to be self-sufficient for 72 hours, and be prepared to evacuate if necessary as things evolve over the next couple of days.
Further west, the ground is still too frozen to absorb all that rain, and now all eyes are on the Ottawa and St. Lawrence rivers. The CBC's Matt Demore spent much of the day in Île-Bizarre, just west of Montreal, where residents are scrambling to protect their homes and their communities.
Ian, people here in the Montreal borough of Île-Bizarre know what it means to deal with flooding, and today residents are just trying to stay ahead of the rainfall. Volunteers have come to the parking lot of this public library, and the mission today is to dig into these massive mounds of sand and fill up sandbags as quickly as possible. Other volunteers are going to be coming later with trucks and trailers and vans to load up the sandbags and try to deliver them to the people who need them as quickly as possible. Now, Île-Bizarre is just one of the places in Montreal that's on alert. The city is expecting about 40 millimeters of rain by Saturday afternoon, and officials say that that forecast means that there's a likelihood of flooding. There's an emergency preparedness plan that's been put in place. City crews have been setting up dams and installing inflatable storm drain plugs, among other things. A little bit earlier here, I spoke with a volunteer filling up sandbags. His name is Tausif Badi. We actually first met Mr. Badi 2 years ago during the flooding here in 2017. Badi and his family lost their home, spent more than a year in hotels. They recently moved into their new home, but when they saw that there was this call for volunteers today, they came out to do what they could.
I don't wish anyone to go through that. You know, we will do our best to whatever we can. My kids, they haven't been able to go close to water, you know. So today when they had, you know, they said, you know, we are going. We don't want anyone else to go through this. So whatever we can, you know, we'll try.
Now, there are other parts of Quebec that are on alert. For example, the town of Rigaud is expecting flooding, and it may be worse than what was seen there in 2017. So officials there asking people who live near the water to take precautions, and if possible, they're calling for an evacuation. There's also Gatineau, where city crews are helping to fill up sandbags at pickup locations that people can go to throughout the day in preparation. So those are just some of the places where people are going to be keeping a very close eye on the rainfall and, of course, those water levels. Ian?
And CBC News meteorologist Brett Soderholm is watching all of this for us. And tell us what the next 24 hours will likely look like.
Yes, thank you, Ian. We really have quite a lot of water going to be making its way into the rivers and just across the whole region of eastern Ontario, southern Quebec throughout the next 24 hours, and then pushing into the Maritimes as we get into Sunday and into Monday. Now, this is actually going to pose quite a threat. What you're going to see here on this graphic is our rainfall forecast. We have a huge system bringing in just swaths of rain to southern Quebec and the Maritimes throughout the next 24 to 48 hours. And unfortunately, these totals are quite significant. And just drawing attention here to southern Quebec, we could be getting anywhere between 40 and 60 millimeters by the time that Saturday is through. And this will correspond as well to parts of northern New Brunswick. Now, when you combine this with very warm temperatures in the region, in addition to a lot of melt from that snowpack, these water levels in the rivers are expected to rise to potentially historic levels. And this is something we're going to be watching very closely over the next few days.
And we'll stay on this story on CBC News for sure. Brett, thank you very much.
Thank you.
The parents of a world-renowned mountain climber presumed dead in Banff National Park says he lived his dream. Austrian David Lama is one of 3 climbers caught in an avalanche this week. His parents posted on Instagram that David dedicated his life to the mountains. He always followed his own path and lived his dream. The other men, Hans-Jorg Auer and Jess Ross Kelly, were also professional climbers. All 3 have been missing since Wednesday. The CBC's Aaron Collins looks at the mark they left on the mountaineering community.
It's one of the most dangerous sports in the world, and for the best of the best in the world of alpine climbing, the risk of death is constant. David Lama, Jess Ross Kelly, and Hans-Jorg Auer were the rock stars of their sport, constantly pushing the limits, looking for ever more challenging and dangerous peaks to climb. It's what brought them to Canada's Rockies. The 3 were attempting to summit House Peak on the BC-Alberta border, taking a particularly difficult route known as M16, something that had only been done once before.
Probably the more dangerous routes in the Canadian Rockies that you could attempt.
You wouldn't do this climb?
I absolutely would not do this climb, no. I don't know many people who would.
Brandon Pullen should know. He's climbed House Peak, taking a safer path. He also knew Lama, Ross Kelly, and Auer, spending time with them in the week leading up to their climb. Pullen says heavy snowfall this year may have made a dangerous climb even more treacherous.
The route those guys were on was 1,000 meters, so just under 2 times the size of that. And imagine that with a lot more snow, ice, glaciers at the bottom, glaciers on top, cornices, snow.
It's that snow that likely killed the 3 climbing stars, as they're believed to have been caught in an avalanche, a tragic loss that's rocked the climbing world and the families of the climbers, including that of Washington native Jess Ross Kelly.
Jess could make a pun out of anything, and he was loyal beyond belief.
Hans-Jorg Auer and David Lama both hailed from Austria. The deaths of the celebrated climbers sent shockwaves through their homeland, but the tragedy isn't likely to deter the elite climbers who make a living traveling the world, climbing its highest peaks.
When you're up there climbing these mountains, it feels right. It feels like you should be there, you should be doing it. You know, when I talk to my parents and I have to explain to them why I do it, I can't give them a good answer, because it is a dangerous thing.
An attraction so strong that this week's tragedy could draw more people to House Peak. Alpine climbers looking to succeed where the best of the best had failed. Aaron Collins, CBC News, Canmore, Alberta.
U.S. Democrats have the Trump administration squarely in their sights following the release of the Mueller report. There's a call today from a prominent member of the party for impeachment proceedings to begin and demands for Robert Mueller's full unredacted report into Russian interference in the 2016 U.S. election. The Department of Justice is resisting that call. A version of the report was made public yesterday with portions blacked out, and that's not good enough for some of Trump's critics. The U.S. president will not face charges of obstruction or conspiring with Russia, but the report outlines several instances of what many are calling questionable conduct, including an attempt to have Mueller fired. Trump still claims he's been exonerated. In tweets today, he calls it the crazy Mueller report and says statements in the report are fabricated, totally untrue, even going so far as to call them total BS. As the CBC's Lindsay Duncombe tells us, all of this has many Americans wondering about Trump's future in the White House.
On a visit to Ireland, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi kept to the practice of not criticizing the president abroad, choosing her words about what Democrats will do next carefully.
The legislative branch has a responsibility of oversight of our democracy, and we will exercise that.
Others are more forceful. Massachusetts Senator and candidate for president Elizabeth Warren joined a handful of other Democrats and called for the House to start impeachment proceedings, tweeting the severity of this misconduct demands that elected officials in both parties set aside political considerations and do their constitutional duty. The political considerations are considerable. Democrats have the votes to impeach Trump in the House, but Senate Republicans remain firm in their support of the president. So any attempt to remove him from office would almost certainly fail, and the spectacle of hearings could backfire on the Democrats.
I think the American people are exhausted by it. I think they're so tired of it. And I think they're handing the president the greatest gift they could give him in the 2020 election.
These encounters did not consist of sexual intercourse.
Consider Bill Clinton, impeached by the House but acquitted in the Senate.
Did he lie to the American people?
The former president's popularity grew as the proceedings went on.
I would say it's at least what President Trump has done at least 100 times worse, at least.
Thank you for having us.
But still, many Democrats argue the best strategy for removing the president from office is the ballot box.
I don't know that impeachment and those proceedings in the House and a potential trial in the Senate is going to answer those questions for people. I think we can solve this once and for all in November of 2020.
The impeachment decision is Pelosi's to make. She's previously called the process too divisive to pursue without bipartisan support. It's unclear if the Mueller report and pressure from her party will change that. Lindsay Duncombe, CBC News, Washington.
We have all been inundated with coverage and commentary on the Mueller report, so we asked Keith Bogue to zero in on some of the key findings, and that is coming up in about 25 minutes. During times of war and revolution, under occupation and in prosperity, Easter has been marked in Paris for hundreds of years in and around Notre Dame and its famous spire. But the city has been forced to change the way it observes the holy day this year. Renee Filipponi is in Paris with the story.
Crowding the streets of Paris in the shadow of Notre Dame, Catholics perform the Stations of the Cross, a ritual commemorating the final days of Christ. This year, it's not just faith that's motivated people to be here.
Friday is one of the biggest days for us, the Christians, and to live that with people from Paris after the fire, I think it was worth it.
I think it's important to show that we are very, very sad, but very hopeful.
Many in this crowd would have been headed to the cathedral this weekend for Mass. Now thousands are without a home of worship, and they will be headed to other churches in the city to seek spiritual solace. Among them is Father Frédéric Roder. The priest from Notre Dame has moved to Saint-Sulpice. Still, too devastated to speak about the fire, he provides comfort instead for his parishioners, who moved here with him.
You cannot prepare for this. You have to be very flexible. You don't yell at people. And organize is more organizing job now.
Saint-Sulpice has stepped in for the cathedral. Along with extra people, cameras and lights are set up, so Holy Week Mass can be broadcast across France. It's a scramble, but for the staff here, they had no option but to help.
The people are depressed. They lost their life, they lost their environment, they lost their, something bigger than life, the cathedral. So when they come here, they just don't know what to do.
The first thing when you entered in the carpentry was the smell.
Olivier de Chaloux is one of those people who doesn't know what's next. He was a tour guide and historian for the cathedral. The wood ceilings were his favorite part, and fears a piece of history is lost forever.
The carpentry we don't have anymore today was not studied by anyone, so we are losing so many information about this building.
He wants to see it rebuilt, but admits it won't be the same. But nothing will for those who watch the flames. For Catholics here, the hope, like Jesus, Notre Dame will rise again. Renee Filipponi, CBC News, Paris.
Yellow vest protesters are expected to take to the streets tomorrow in Paris, but authorities will try to keep them away from Notre Dame.
There
are fears that protests may become violent like this demonstration last month. 60,000 officers will be on the streets. Some yellow vesters have expressed frustration over how quickly $1 billion was raised to rebuild a cathedral, while they're being told there's no money to address inequality and social justice. Some other stories we're watching tonight. Police in Northern Ireland are calling for peace after the fatal shooting of a journalist during overnight rioting in Londonderry.
This will have achieved nothing other than to plunge a family into grief and to condemn the city that we all love to the worst possible headlines.
29-year-old Lyra McKee was shot dead after rioting erupted late last night. Officials say they're treating the incident as a terrorist attack and believe the dissident Republican group New IRA was responsible.
Both defendants were sentenced to life with the possibility of parole.
A California couple sentenced to life in prison today for the torture and imprisonment of their children. It was just over a year ago police discovered Louise and David Turpin's abuse after an emaciated 17-year-old girl climbed out of a window of the family's home and called 911. The parents spoke before their sentencing today.
I miss all of my children, and I will be praying for them.
I hope they get all the education they need to make their dreams come true. They deserve only the best in life. I don't want any of them to be sad or depressed because of all of this.
The judge condemned the parents' conduct. The abuse included starving the children and chaining them to their beds in what's being described as a house of horrors. Tomorrow marks the first April 20th since marijuana became legal in Canada. The day, widely known as 420, is the year's biggest protest for pot advocates. But there's a growing call to crack down. Greg Rasmussen is here in Vancouver, where one of the largest 420 events in the world has organizers pitted against City Hall and some citizens.
Setting up for a showdown, building a large stage, covering up the grass.
3, 2, 1.
Taking over one of Vancouver's famous parks, all without permission. It's got some residents boiling over.
Why are you breaking the law?
I thought cannabis was legal.
No, you're breaking the law by being here. You're setting up booths, you're smoking in the park, and that is illegal.
You're right.
420 organizer Dana Larson has become a lightning rod.
Well,
if anybody damages my building, I'm going to hold you responsible, you know?
All right, well, you have a lot of anger, but that's
I do have a lot of anger because you're an absolute idiot.
All right, thanks for your opinions.
Wow. Despite the hostility, Larson's promising an even bigger event.
So is this a protest or is it a trade show?
This is a protest. It's a protest festival, and we call it a protestival.
Despite legalization, he says there's still a need to protest.
I really think that this is bringing out the stigma and the hatred that still exists for many people of the cannabis culture. But we're going to have over 100,000 people here coming throughout the day tomorrow. They're going to have a wonderful free concert, and I think a lot of people in Vancouver love 420 and appreciate it. 420!
Opponents point out smoking isn't allowed in city parks. Unlicensed pot retailers set up shop, grass gets trampled, and litter is left behind. Organizers aren't backing down, instead bringing in pro-pot performers Cypress Hill.
When you're retailing products, when you've got sponsorships and marketing, and then you bring in a headlining band, I think largely the public will tell you that really is a trade show, that's a festival, and it's coming on the backs of taxpayers at their expense.
Despite violating numerous laws, there's never been a crackdown. Last year, organizers reimbursed the city $63,000, but officials say that's a fraction of the cost. Despite the expense and headaches, 420 does have support.
It's never been a violent event in any way, and they seem to clean up after their mess. The lawn that's damaged is back in like 2 weeks anyway. I don't really see the problem.
But others are just saying no, with one councillor proposing the city sue both organizers and any businesses taking part. Greg Rasmussen, CBC News, Vancouver.
Coming up on The National, the way some of us sing along to our favorite songs is changing. More and more artists are choosing to sing in their native languages. Well, this is a sign of how big the Korean boy band BTS has become, showcased on Saturday Night Live last week. And they're number 6 on Billboard's Artist Chart. That tracks all music sales, streams, and social media fan interaction. BTS is the latest example of how international acts are becoming mainstream pop in North America. And as Deanna Sumanak-Johnson shows us, Canadian artists are getting in on the trend.
Canadian singer Ali X is mostly making music in Los Angeles these days. But a song she co-wrote made waves much further away, in South Korea.
I thought that we were writing that song kind of as a fun joke song. The English words were all super like throwback 90s R&B. It was like, baby boy, you've got a baby heart, or something like that. Baby boy, no, you don't pretend. And then a year later, this Korean pop star wants to sing this, and they're going to translate it all to Korean except for certain lines. And I was like, what? Cool.
Ali also co-wrote another K-pop song for popular boy band BAP. It's all part of a trend that's sweeping pop music. International acts singing in their own languages are freshening up pop music's formula and becoming artists everyone wants to work with. Just ask Justin Bieber, whose own musical career was boosted when he was featured on one version of the Spanish hit Despacito. This Rolling Stone writer attributes the breaking of musical boundaries in large part to streaming.
You don't see the track and say, well, it's in a totally different language. You click it anyway because it looks the same as a Jay-Z track or a Beyonce track. And so you have that friendliness and that openness that streaming has created. It doesn't seem so scary to have to jump over a border.
International pop stars are tapping into the talent of some of North America's biggest players, like the man who directed the video for Drake's Hotline Bling.
You used to call me on my cell phone. It's a whole new world on the radio where it's not always going to be in English. That's a big deal. I never thought I'd see that day, and now it's here. It's terrific.
His video for Spanish artist Rosalia and Colombian DJ J Balvin was placed on YouTube just a few weeks ago. It already has 66 million views.
This is all stuff that's been coming from America to the rest of the world that they've taken and embraced and now figured out and are giving back. Because look, beyond even just the different language stuff.
And it doesn't look like this musical world without borders will end anytime soon. BTS's just released album is expected to hit #1 on Billboard's chart based on sales and streaming. Deanna Sumanak-Johnson, CBC News, Toronto.
There have been a few breakthrough foreign language hits on the charts in North America. According to Billboard, of nearly 5,000 singles to reach the top 10, 16 were sung mainly or entirely in a language other than English, and 7 reached the very top, including Despacito, Macarena, La Bamba, and Rock Me Amadeus. And if you're wondering about that viral breakout from 2012 that broke YouTube,
Oppan Gangnam Style.
Gangnam Style only peaked at #2 on Billboard's Hot 100. I miss that song. Still ahead on the national now that the federal government has imposed its carbon tax on the holdout provinces. We break down the spin to look at the real numbers. And questions remain about the evidence outlined in the redacted Mueller report. A former U.S. federal prosecutor and one-time acting attorney general walks us through their thoughts next. Detroit Red Wings legend Steve Yzerman is, at least in NHL terms, heading home.
I am very excited to return to the organization and join the Red Wings again, and with our goal of getting the team back in contention for Stanley Cups.
Well, the 3-time Stanley Cup champion was named general manager today. Yzerman was a longtime captain, played 22 years for Detroit. The Hall of Famer has been the GM of the Tampa Bay Lightning for 8 years, but he stepped down last September. After more than 18 years, the New York Yankees are no longer playing Kate Smith's 1939 version of God Bless America during their home games, the team making the switch following revelations that other songs performed by Smith had racist lyrics. The Philadelphia Flyers have also stopped playing her version of the song and have moved to cover up the statue of Smith that is outside their arena. Police are treating an incident at a Winnipeg restaurant as a hate crime. Officers say the inside almost entirely destroyed yesterday. Plates and glasses smashed, tables, chairs flipped over. A woman was assaulted and the building was spray painted with anti-Semitic graffiti. The same restaurant has been the target of similar crimes 4 times in the past 5 months. No arrests have been made. For 2 years, many in the United States and around the world waited for Robert Mueller's report into Russian interference in the U.S. election. His investigation was aimed at answering key questions. Was there collusion between the Trump campaign and the Kremlin? And did the president or his people obstruct justice? A day after the report's release, Mueller's conclusions appear to come with an asterisk. Keith Bogue has a deeper look at the findings and what they mean.
Despite its hundreds of pages of evidence and explanation, there remain questions about what to think of the Mueller report, what it found, how it was handled, what's left to know, and what to learn. To talk about all that, we invited Mary McCord, who was Acting Assistant Attorney General at the Department of Justice.
Thank you for coming.
And headed up the Russia investigation before Robert Mueller took it over in 2017. And former federal prosecutor John Flannery, who's followed the whole thing closely since the beginning. First, the overall impression.
Is this report exoneration, damnation, or is it somewhere in between?
I think it's damnation. I think it could have gone further given the facts, which is the advantage of this report. The facts allow us to draw conclusions that Mueller was reluctant to draw. The most obvious one is whether or not there should have been a prosecution or an alleged crime for obstruction. And he went through this kind of Jesuitical trap, in my opinion, in which he said, I can't prosecute him because he's a sitting president and we have a rule against that. And I don't think it's fair to say that he committed a crime if he can't defend it in a court of law. So I'm not going to say it's a crime, but then I'm going to lay out facts that are criminal.
McCord is not as critical of Mueller, but she still finds the lack of an obstruction charge curious.
There are a number of actions taken by the president that certainly to a layperson, I don't know how you could come away without thinking he obstructed justice or tried to.
Same with collusion between the Trump campaign and Russia. It might not be a crime, but it certainly seems present.
I don't know how you could come away without the abiding feeling that this was a campaign that very much encouraged, delighted in almost the work of the Russian government.
Attorney General William Barr's description of the report in his letter in March and again in his news conference yesterday did not accurately describe what it says, and that's unsettling.
What it didn't address at all was the enormous volume of evidence going both to the very, very strong interest and encouragement of people within the Trump campaign, including the president himself, interest and encouragement to Russia to continue with its interference activities, and it didn't begin to discuss the voluminous evidence that supports the president's attempts to obstruct justice.
In my memory, there's never been a press conference about a report that was going to be released in which, at the worst case, it wasn't released simultaneously with the press conference. So he wanted to convince us, in the ministry of truth, if you will, what we should believe, kind of a newspeak kind of approach.
And I thought that it was an attempt to sort of create the narrative and color the narrative so that as people read it, they're already going in with a certain frame of mind.
To color it and create a narrative that suits the president, though.
That suits the president, yes.
There are parts of the investigation that have been reported about publicly that seem not to have led anywhere.
Why didn't we call any of the family members? This investigation stopped at the waters of Trump and family and finances, and that's the mother lode there. Why wouldn't you go for the gold, literally?
And Flannery has a theory about that.
This investigation was over when it shouldn't be over. Here you had just seized you'd asked the grand jury to continue another 6 months in January. Okay? Yeah. So now, sometimes you do that for a whole variety of reasons, but they anticipated doing something. They conducted searches of Stone's house, a whole bunch of material there. It takes time to analyze it. Maybe there's nothing there, but they're already telling us the investigation's over when that happens. Cohen is being debriefed and giving more information to the Southern District and to the investigation in the special counsel's office. The special counsel mentions it in the obstruction section of the report. So why did it stop? We may know in 2 weeks, we may not know for 20 years, but something went wrong here.
McCord says people should read the report and not lose sight of what happened in 2016.
But I don't want people to forget that this interference, like Russia didn't just stop after this, after the last election. And so as people think about what they're choosing to read on the internet or in social media, or what they're viewing when they're taking in news and when they're learning about candidates and they're considering their options for the upcoming election, they need to exercise some real thoughtfulness and discretion about the source of the information.
Should Mueller testify, Mr. President?
There are more than a dozen criminal referrals arising from the Mueller investigation. The case is not closed, far from it. Keith Bogue, CBC News, Washington.
We are going to place a price on the pollution that causes climate change from coast to coast to coast.
This month, the last few provinces started charging that carbon tax, but is it actually doing anything, and how much is it costing us? Coming up, we look at the facts behind the carbon tax, next on The National.
Dear caring fellow humans who care about the planet and care about children and grandchildren.
Emma Thompson joining protesters in central London today, calling for more government action to address climate change. Demonstrations have been underway all week, ramping up ahead of Earth Day on Monday. Police have made lots of arrests, almost 700 so far. In Paris, activists blocked the entrance of a bank and oil company headquarters. And in Rome, thousands turned out to welcome Swedish climate activist Greta Thunberg, who talked about ways to save the planet. Here at home, the federal government's approach to tackling climate change is controversial. Implementing the carbon tax is proving politically divisive and the subject of a major legal challenge. Opponents of the carbon pricing plan got a boost this week with the election of Jason Kenney's United Conservative Party in Alberta, sure to be a strong voice against Ottawa. So, in a landscape of competing claims about the tax, we asked Salima Shivji to check the facts for us.
We are going to place a price on the pollution that causes climate change from coast to coast to coast.
They said it and followed through. Any province that didn't come up with its own carbon pricing plan had Ottawa's system imposed on it on April 1st. Hence the jump in gas prices and home heating in 4 Conservative-led provinces, soon perhaps to be 5.
Scrap the carbon tax cash grab.
If the newly elected Premier makes good on his promise to nix Alberta's current plan.
Say someone has a large family and is shopping constantly, it's going to go up. We're just saying on the average it's $648
in 2022.
But that's just not. It's just not fair.
$648. Doug Ford is getting that number from this, a report from Ontario's Financial Accountability Office. It calculated energy costs plus indirect costs, and that's where it gets complicated because it's a guess, an estimate of how much businesses will raise their prices to pass the new carbon tax on to us. For a typical Ontario family, the province's Financial Accountability Office came up with $648 by 2022. The feds did their own calculations and came up with a different number, $564. But hang on a second. Ontario's Premier neglects to mention that his number is for 2022, 4 years from now, a major omission. And there's another thing he's not saying.
It's going directly back to families. 90% goes to families, such that, for example, in Ontario, a family of 4 receives $307, which is more than 80% of families pay.
Here's the government chart that shows how much money Canadians in the holdout provinces will get back on their tax return. For an Ontario family of 4, it's estimated to be $307. It's higher in Saskatchewan, where people use more fuel. And as the carbon tax goes up each year, so does your rebate. So most families will get more back than they pay out, but specifically 80%, that's hard to say, all because of indirect costs, what's added to what we buy. Those are just so hard to estimate.
As they raise their carbon tax is a huge cash grab.
Canadians have known all along that Justin Trudeau's carbon tax was just a tax plan.
It's a tax with the word carbon in front of it. It does nothing for the environment, absolutely nothing.
Call it what you want, but it is a tax. Ottawa says it will send revenues back, mostly to ordinary Canadians with that rebate. The rest to small businesses, cities, schools, hospitals, to help them adjust. The goal to change behaviors, entice people to consume less with the chance to keep more of that rebate in their pocket. The open question is, will it work? So, confusion, claims, and counterclaims. Get used to it as the rhetoric ramps up over the carbon tax heading to Election Day. Salima Shivji, CBC News, Ottawa.
Well, from carbon to concrete, which is just about everywhere you look, but making concrete actually produces a lot of pollution. Andrew took us inside a Canadian company that's trying to change that by using the pollution itself to fix the problem.
The modern world is literally built out of concrete. It's everywhere.
Concrete is one of the most widely used building materials in the world.
You can look at a building, you can look at a curb, you can look at a bridge, you can look at sculptures, it's just endless. Everything uses concrete.
But the concrete industry has a problem. Making it pollutes a lot. 7% of the world's CO2 emissions link back to a single ingredient in concrete.
So if we could reduce that by any amount, it would be a success.
If you can get that number down, that's a game changer.
Yes, absolutely.
So here's how you make concrete. You need 3 things: water, random bits like sand and gravel, and cement, which is the glue that binds it all together. But making a kilogram of cement releases about half a kilogram of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. So, the team at a company called Carbon Cure has devised a clever way of turning CO2 into something useful.
Okay, so Josh, what do we have in this tank?
In this tank, we have liquid carbon dioxide.
Right now, they're shipping it in direct from industrial polluters, long before it ever reaches Earth's atmosphere. It's bottled up and prepped for the mixer.
So this is it?
Yeah, this is the mixer.
So the CO2 from that tank outside comes in here?
Yeah, so it comes in through a pipe, directly into the mixer, mixes with the fresh concrete, reacts right away.
Yes, you heard right. They're mixing CO2 back into the concrete, sequestering it forever.
It starts reacting with the cement immediately and is permanently encapsulated in the concrete.
So even if the concrete breaks, say a building is demolished, the CO2 never escapes because it hardens. It becomes a solid. It's even strong enough to take the place of some of that expensive, polluting cement. And using less cement saves money and pays for the carbon dioxide.
It actually ends up being cost neutral?
Yes, you're getting the exact same quality concrete, only greener.
It is on a larger scale this idea starts to show real promise, because trapping concrete block by block is one thing, but by the hundreds or thousands of blocks, this plant can produce tens of thousands in a single day. Its entire product line, every single block it makes, is injected with carbon dioxide. And there are 100 plants just like this one across Canada and the US using the very same technology. But even that is just a drop in the bucket.
If there are skeptics in the concrete industry, it's because of how sensitive the whole process is. I mean, just consider this. These concrete blocks are fresh out of the mold. The mixture has to be just right. They're laser measured to make sure they're right to spec. And if anything is off, these blocks come right off and they're junk.
This is actually the area where we drilled cores out to send off to the lab for testing.
Luke Johnson works for Tridel, a major developer based in Toronto.
I needed to know exactly what it is, what it does it affect my timelines, does it affect my budget, and most importantly, one of our core values, does it affect our quality?
On this downtown site, 14 stories will ride on the strength of his concrete. The walls, your conventional run-of-the-mill stuff, but the big test, the floor, right under our feet.
And how did it do?
It performed well, the order went well.
Structurally, durability?
Structurally, all the testing, everything met the specified criteria.
And not far away, a project with carbon cure concrete in mind from the very start. This is going to be a hospital in Vaughan, Ontario.
This particular project is using in excess of 500,000 individual blocks.
It's an example of how a nod to the environment can pay off big. The promise of a green building was key to getting this project off the ground.
And how much carbon dioxide are you able to trap?
So this particular project is just under 14,000 pounds of CO2, essentially, that's captured in there. So to put that into more relatable terms, it'd be the equivalent of about 146 tree seedlings grown over about 10 years.
That's trapped in that building
yeah.
once it's done.
Right.
Across all of its projects, Carbon Cure estimates it's kept millions of kilograms of CO2 from escaping into the atmosphere. The challenge now is getting the word out and convincing companies it can pay to go green. Doing that would go a long way in turning one of the world's most prolific greenhouse gases into simple building blocks.
Just ahead on The National, the fire that ravaged Notre Dame Cathedral this week left many worried about this country's historic buildings and landmarks. Coming up, the story of a fire in our history and how we rebuilt. We're following a developing story here in British Columbia tonight. A deck has collapsed during a celebration in Langley. That's about 45 minutes east of Vancouver. About 100 people were on the property at the time. We don't know the extent of the injuries, but at least one person was airlifted to hospital. 19 ambulances were dispatched to the scene, and the cause of the collapse remains unknown. It started with shock and grief on Monday. What's also emerging out of the fire at Notre Dame Cathedral in Paris? Questions. Not just what caused the fire and how it could have been prevented, but also could it happen here? CBC's Tom Perry was one of the people asking that, and he found it already has.
It's not a cathedral, it's not hundreds of years old, but like Notre Dame de Paris, Canada's parliament was once the scene of a devastating fire. On a cold night in February 1916, flames swept through the building. 7 people were killed. A once majestic structure was left a smoldering ruin.
Midnight, the bell in the Victoria Tower was called then, chimed for the last time, then collapsed. But nothing could be saved.
With the First World War raging, some blamed German sabotage for the fire, though the cause was never determined. Rebuilding began almost immediately, and within 4 years, MPs were back at work in a new center block. Its signature feature, the Peace Tower, officially christened a few years later. Today, Parliament Hill is once again the site of a major reconstruction project. Center Block sits empty and will for a decade or more as crews bring the aging edifice up to modern standards. In any big job like this, there's always a risk of fire, and officials say they're not taking any chances.
24-hour fire patrols during any project. We have fire detection systems, alarm system, and we have all the measures in place to ensure that if there is any issues, they're managed extremely quickly.
Firefighters in Paris managed to save many of the priceless artifacts that were housed at Notre Dame Cathedral. On Parliament Hill, much of the artwork that once hung in Center Block has already been moved out. Portraits of prime ministers now hang in the Commons' temporary home in West Block. The books of remembrance honoring Canada's fallen soldiers, and even the chairs and desks from the old Commons chamber are here too. The goal is that when all this is moved back and the work on Center Block is completed, the building will be safer than it's ever been.
It's not just sprinkler systems, but it's also to make sure that you have appropriate fire separation. So fire doors, all of that will be integrated into the center block.
All to hopefully avoid tragedies like the one in Paris or the one that struck this very spot more than 100 years ago. Tom Parry, CBC News, Ottawa.
Well, this is usually the portion of the National where my co-host and I discuss the moment, and we don't technically have a moment tonight, but I just wanted to mention that there are a couple of developing stories that we will be watching on the various platforms of CBC News throughout this evening and, of course, the weekend. Just mentioned that deck collapse in Langley, British Columbia, just outside Vancouver, and, of course, the flooding situation that we're watching very closely, as we heard at the top of the show, in Quebec and Ontario. We have the snow melt plus all that rain, and then into New Brunswick, the possibility in a place that's been hit hard by flooding in the last couple of years of historic levels of rain and flooding over the weekend. So we'll be watching that. That is this edition of The National tonight from Vancouver. Thank you very much for watching.